Yo, welcome along to Troopers. My name is Eric Njiru, and this is a brand new show. We'll be talking about sports and having sports conversation in Kenya, football, rugby, athletics, all sports. We'll be getting who is who in Kenyan sport and having to get down and go down on everything sports management and obviously winning titles and trophies. And today on Troopers, for the very first time, we're going to be talking about Harambee Stars because this week we have to win our games for us to qualify for the next AFcOn that will be in Morocco next year. We do take on Zim this week on Friday at 7 p.m. in a must-win game. And then on Tuesday, we do play Namibia. If we win those two games and then Zim do lose to Cameroon next week, I do think we're going to Morocco for the Cup of Nations. To help me now to dissect all that is my colleague, a journalist from Pulse Sport. This is Mark Kinyaju. Mark, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Eric, for having me on your show. I'm very privileged to be here. And let's hope, as much as our hopes are diminished, you never know. Harambee Stars could still qualify for the AFcOn.
You're the very first guest on the show, obviously, so you should feel somehow privileged. But let's get down to it. Harambee Stars. How do you feel about Harambee Stars this week? We're going to South Africa, first of all. Obviously, we don't have a stadium, so we're going to play in South Africa. We take on Zim and Namibia. How do you feel about this week?
Okay, it's not impossible, but it is improbable because, first and foremost, I think we've played Zimbabwe twice this year.
We played them in Uganda, and then
we played them in Uganda, and then there was the Four Nations Cup
in Malawi.
Yes. A tournament that Harambee Stars eventually won, and actually, Engine Firat takes pride in the fact that we won a tournament outside of the country.
And nakumbuka akisema ati we were so happy to welcome him with a trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's first time due to won a trophy. Kenyan team has won a trophy. The Harambee Stars. Senior team.
But then again, if you fact check him, we've won Sekafa championship, so
he's like that's a bigger trophy than Sekafa.
But that's a friendly. It was just a friendly. But anyway, I actually think if you ask me that Kenya does stand a chance. But then now the only problem with Kenya, knowing the way that team tends to play, we could actually go put in a performance on Friday against Zimbabwe because we'll be playing them as the first opponents. I think they're second on 8 points. We are third on 4 points. But then once they beat them, they could get complacent. And then when they play Namibia on Tuesday, Namibia, remember, is a team that has already been disqualified. In fact, they
can't qualify anymore.
Exactly. In fact, they've surprised me for all the wrong reasons, considering they were actually in the last AFcON and actually qualified for the round of 16. So it was kind of surprising that they've not really been getting the results that they wanted. But then for them...
I think they beat... Did they beat Cameroon at some point? I think last year or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They actually beat Namibia. I mean, they actually beat Cameroon to qualify for the 2023 edition. Exactly. And we were actually supposed to play Cameroon in 2023. But
and then it was suspended by FIFA.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and that's why we didn't take part in the qualifier. And we were actually also supposed to play Namibia in the same group, if I'm not wrong. So I feel like Harambee Stars have what it takes in terms of they have all their key players available. I think the only two players that are not available are Ayub Timbe and Masoud Juma. Those are the only key players. And maybe Zach Viner, who I'm kind of surprised is still not playing for Harambee Stars, considering he declared for the country. He's recognized as Kenyan, even if you look at Transfermarkt, was even part of the squad that played against Burundi and Ivory Coast during the World Cup qualifiers, but didn't get to play because he lacked a Kenyan passport. So those, I think, are the only three players that are missing. But I think Kenya still has enough to actually get results this November.
So just look at the squad. We've got goalkeeper Brian Odhiambo, then there's Farouk Shikalo,
yes,
Tieno defenders Daniel Anyembe, obviously Amos Wanjala, Amos Nondi, Joseph Okumu, Johnston Omurwa, and then Charles Momanyi, Eric Houma, and Abud Omar. Midfielders, we've got Teddy, and then there's Marvin, there's Duke from Tanzania, Timothy Ouma, Richard Odada, very good player, Austin, Gormaya, Rooney, Gormaya, Alfred Scriven. There's also Leshan Motiani and Adam Wilson, and then the front three should be Olunga, Ayunga, and Avire. So how should we line up now going to play Zim? Because it's a must-win game because if we don't win that game, it's over.
It's over
for us on Friday. Even the game that we play on Tuesday, we check on Namibia. It's not that important to us.
I feel like if you look at the squad, the starting lineup that played during the return leg in Nambole against Cameroon, of course, we lost by 4-1 in Yaounde. Engine Firat mixed up the squad. Remember, Banu Mondi had played against Zimbabwe and Namibia in the first leg qualifiers, but then was surprisingly dropped for Matasi, and you see how that game ended up. Matasi was directly at fault for 2 goals, and it's not surprising that he's completely been dropped from the squad.
What do you make of Matasi? You honestly, isn't it wanafanya like that? That goal, I mean, you should be doing better.
Exactly, you
should
be doing better. Exactly, and for someone as experienced as Matasi, I mean, you have to do better, because this is a keeper that has been playing for the country for over 8 years now. I think he was actually part of the squad that actually delivered the 2017 Sekafa Senior Championships that were held here in Kenya. Actually, he was the starting goalkeeper during the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. So a keeper of his experience shouldn't be making the mistakes that he's making. But then again, I've always had my reservations when it comes to Matasi, because first of all, Matasi has issues coming for crosses, right?
Yes.
His distribution,
it's a hard job for him.
Yeah, his distribution at times is iffy. Yes, as much as he knows how to organize the defense, he's always communicating, he's always shouting at and berating his defenders when they make mistakes. I feel like at times he reminds me of Aaron Ramsdale. At Arsenal, and you see that's why and you see I shouldn't be bringing it into the convo, but I had to use it, because you can tell why in the end Mikel Arteta had to bring in David Raya, because he oozes calmness. He's better on the ball, he comes for crosses better, he injects confidence into his defenders because he doesn't inject panic into them. And for me, if you ask me, that is what Banu Mondi is, the Bandari goalkeeper. I think in every cup he's ever had for the national team, he's done fairly well. Only I think that he has issues maybe dealing with long shots from outside the box, because the 2 goals he's conceded have been from direct free kicks against Namibia.
Oh, that was a good free kick though from Cameroon.
Exactly, but that was a good free kick. But you see his distribution, his calmness, his command. I think he's the best goalkeeper that we have in the country at the moment, if you ask me.
But now let me ask you, so the first game we played Cameroon, we lost 4-1. Before that, we had played we had played Zim and Namibia.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we played Brian Odhiambo in the goalkeeper. But now Firat akuja change.
Yeah, change, exactly.
Why would he do that?
I don't know. I don't understand that situation. But from what I do understand, sometimes is that sometimes there is, as much as he likes denying it, sometimes from what I understand, sometimes there is some factors go beyond just merit at times when it comes to the national team. And we've seen all those reports for years and years on end. But I feel like finally the scales fell out of his eyes, and it's high time we moved on from Patrick Matasi, in my opinion. Yes, he's a good goalkeeper. He's done a lot for the country. Yeni Kenyawan, of course.
And Facebook kuongea after that.
Exactly. No, at times, even when it comes to dealing with penalties, I think he's a very good goalkeeper at dealing with penalties. We have to give him his flowers. In fact, at 2019, alishikia Mane penalty. If I can't
remember. He was quite happy on that day.
Yeah, exactly. But it is the other aspects of his game that we feel having a keeper like Ban will suit us. And I feel that's the goalkeeper that will start against these 2 matches.
Against Zim.
Exactly. And the fact that Farouk Shikalo is back in the squad for the first time, into the main squad. He was part of the chance squad, but he's back into the main squad for the first time since 2019. He was part of the squad that played at the 2019 AFcON but didn't play. He was a reserve goalkeeper, but he's back. Yano Tieno has always been the experienced head there. He actually starts for his club in South Africa. He's the first choice goalkeeper. And then, of course, Brian Bwire was also drafted into the squad. He actually plays for Polokwane. So I believe those are 4 good goalkeepers that should work if they work together for a while. I think that will be a healthy group of goalkeepers. But Banu Mondi has to start that game.
Yeah, then, so defense, we don't change a lot.
Yeah, I don't think we will change a lot in terms of the defense. I've seen Amos Wanjala was drafted into the squad. Amos Wanjala is tipped to be the future of the national team in terms of the player that he is. He's captained the under-18s, he's captained the under-20s who qualified for the under-20 AFcON.
Yeah.
He's also played for the Emerging Stars, that is the under-23s during the COSAFA tournament. Although that time people were really focused on Gen Z protests, that's why people didn't pay so much attention. But I feel like having him there, even if he won't play, I think it's good that he started learning from the experienced pros, especially Joseph Okumu, our premier defender. He actually plays for Stade Rennes in France. Johnston Omuro is now getting game time in Saudi Arabia. I think he has Portuguese experience, Portuguese premiership experience.
Europe, you can call it Europe.
Exactly.
Top 5 leagues.
Yeah, top 5 leagues. I think those two, Johnston Omuro and Joseph Okumu, are the ones that will start.
It will be our centre-back pairing.
Sorry about that. Daniel Anyembe will play at right back. I know he's been playing left back for his club and centre back in certain games, but he's also competent as a right back, so I think he'll play there. And then I think Eric Ouma, Marcelo picks himself at left back. So,
well, when you see him play, I mean, you can see the difference between him and the other wing backs, the other players. The experience.
Exactly.
He oozes some wisdom and confidence when getting those crosses. I like him so much. I mean, it's enjoyable to watch him in the game, you know?
Exactly.
So midfield.
I believe midfield, I think the two midfielders speak themselves because they've played together for a very long time. So I don't think he's going to change anything. So Anthony Akumu will partner Richard Udada. I'm actually quite surprised that someone like Crispin Erambo wasn't called up, considering Crispin Erambo is a player that Firat really admires. So I'm kind of surprised he wasn't called up. Even Kenneth Muguna, for some reason, since September, hasn't been.
He was in the squad though last time when he went to Uganda.
No, he actually wasn't part of the squad. Yeah. He was part of the squad in September.
Oh yeah, in September.
Yeah, but didn't play a minute. So I don't know if the two have fallen out or something. Of course, they've been trying to make up that it's injuries, but then again, Kenneth Muguna has been starting week in, week out for Kenya Police, played against Shabana when they lost by a 0-0. So that is kind of surprising in a way. So, but I believe those are the two midfielders that will play. Then he's possibly going to start Ronnie Onyango at right wing. And then he's going to play John Avire at left wing. I actually believe John Avire will actually help us, because if the games that he's played, he's someone that is very aggressive. He likes to press his opponent. So I think when he pushes up, he allows the team to go forward with him. And you saw against Cameroon, he was actually forcing turnovers. Even Michael Olunga, who will get to in a moment, was forcing turnovers, but then missing chances from the chances we were creating.
There was a chance that we had come on against Cameroon.
Yeah, against Cameroon.
We scored that one, we win that game.
We win that game. You get what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. I think those are the four midfielders that will start. Then up front, I think he's going to play Duke Abuya. Will be playing that 10 role behind Michael Olunga. So I believe that is how he's going to set up the team against both Zimbabwe and then again against Namibia.
Now, before we continue with Kenya, let's get to Cameroon, because our chances also depend on how Cameroon do play. They do take on Zim. But this week now, we've just seen some news that I think Baleba is out of the squad. There's also Mbuemo of Brentford who is out because he has to be excused. There's also Zambo and Guisa from Napoli who is expecting a baby. And then Baleba, I think he picked up a knock or something. Brighton are playing this weekend. Last weekend, they beat Man City.
Yeah, they beat Man City. Yeah, they actually beat Man City.
Yeah, they beat Man City. Those are three key players who are missing out. And we need Cameroon to win their games.
To win their games, exactly.
They have the ability and the facilities to beat Zim at home. Considering they've already qualified.
Yeah, exactly. They already qualified.
Win the group.
In fact, I'm actually looking at the squad right now. If you ask me, I think they have nothing to play
if
for.
Zim win that game, they actually top that group.
Yeah, they actually top that group. So
Zim actually have a chance to win the group, which is quite weird. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird. And Zim, to be fair, they also have very good players. I mean, they have...
I don't understand, because Zim was suspended with us.
Yeah, exactly.
FIFA. I actually came back earlier than them, and we had time to plan our things.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they've come back now, and the taking points off us guys, and they're also above us.
Yeah, exactly.
So what do you feel about Cameroon's chances against? They play Zim and Namibia also.
They play Zim,
But the
they'll
first
be
game is
playing
Namibia
Namibia
now,
first.
so that's on Friday also?
Yeah, exactly. I actually think if Namibia, because, okay, I know Namibia have nothing to play for, but if Namibia actually give them a run for their money
Come on, man.
in South Africa and force a draw, that may open things
I was
up.
speaking to some Cameroonians now that are telling me the guys who have been picked, they expect them to actually play well. You know,
to actually
guys want
play
to
well.
prove a point. It's always the guys who are in Europe who are playing for Cameroon, but now they've got these young guys now, and they've got guys who rarely play, or they're like, let's say, Team B. They have this big chance now to play a team that was already given up. So for me, I think it's quite hard for us. Should we depend on Cameroon?
Okay, you can never write off Cameroon. I know they're qualified, but I think there is that pressure and pride of playing in front of their home crowd in Yaoundé. Remember when we played against them in Yaoundé, the stadium was filled to the brim. I think and even Firat said it at the end of the match. He actually said, hey, I actually admire the fact that there were so many fans with green jerseys who came to support the team, and it actually affected their performance in the end. And I think for them, they have that pride of wanting to top the group. So I actually believe that if Namibia for some reason halt them a little bit, it means they have to go balls deep on Tuesday. I am not really sure because they have nothing to play for, but sometimes things may open up, especially if we beat Cameroon on Friday. So I think it's going to depend on so many factors.
Let's imagine now on Friday we win our game. And then Cameroon also, actually they lose their game or they drop points when they play Namibia. So that means now when we go to the last games on Tuesday, Zim will have to beat Cameroon away, and we'll also have to beat Namibia. So how do you think that will go now? Actually, let's imagine that Cameroon actually win their game.
Let's
Friday.
imagine they beat Namibia on Friday.
Yes,
right?
Then we beat Zim.
Then we beat Zim.
So now it goes down after wire on Tuesday.
That means they get 13 points, and then we have 6 points. We get 7 points.
7 points,
right?
And Zim have got
Zimbabwe have 8 points.
Yes.
It means that Zimbabwe will have to go to Cameroon trying to win, and they'll have to try and go front foot.
Well, to be honest, let's be realistic. It's not Cameroon are that good. I mean,
Cameroon are not that good.
We were bad the game we played them. We opened.
Yeah, exactly.
We opened up. But Cameroon, when I followed them the last couple of games they've played, AFcON also, they were not that great. I mean, we've seen them play good football, but the last couple of months they have not played their best football. So they can still drop points at home.
Yeah, exactly. They could drop points at home.
I still expect some players to pull out by the end of this week, because the coach was saying, I think that was the day before yesterday, he said that Onana asked him to be left out so that the other players can be given a chance. His cousin plays for Cameroon. He's called who?
He's called Omosola.
No, his cousin is Pia Jinakeni or something. There's another goalkeeper there.
There's another one.
Played during AFcOn.
During the AFcON.
So I actually do expect the second choice keeper to start that game, like on Friday, or one of the games.
Or one of the games.
And if Onana doesn't play one game, I think probably on Sunday, United could tell him to come back. Now they've got a new manager, Ruben Amorim at Man United.
Exactly, and he wants to make an impression.
He may want to call him to come back early and do things. So
you're saying Zimbabwe can go get a result, because even for Zimbabwe, assume we get 7 points. Look at it this way: if we get 7 points by beating them on Friday, right? Let's be optimistic. If we get 7 points by beating them on Friday, it means for them, they know that if Kenya beat Namibia on Tuesday, they get 10 points. So for them, they won't be going to play for a draw. They'll be going to play for a win. Because if they go draw against Cameroon and get 9 points, it means with 10 points we are through. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's going to depend on a lot of factors, and I believe that is a question we can best answer after the Friday matches. Because right now it's still too early to call some things, because it's going to depend on the results from that day.
Now, what happens if we draw this game on Friday? So we go to 5 points, and they go to 9.
Yeah,
so it's over.
Go to 9. It's over. It's actually over.
They're on 8, we are 4. So exactly. 5-9, it will be over.
Exactly. It will be over for us. It will be over for us.
My God.
That's why I'm saying we have to win. no matter what it takes, Kenya have to beat Zimbabwe on Friday. The only question is this: do they have the mental fortitude? Will they remind themselves of March when we actually beat them by 3-1 and Olunga actually scored a hat-trick? I think there are so many factors that will say, these guys, we beat them in March. Why can't we beat them again in November?
That was the 4 Nations Cup we're talking about.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, where do you think we lost this journey, or our journey started going west? The AFcOn journey.
The AFcOn journey. I actually partly blame it on that draw against them in Uganda in November. Because let's be realistic.
In September.
Exactly. As much as Cameroon, as much as tunajua, they are not the strongest side. They are not the yesteryear Cameroon of the likes of Song, Rigobert Song, Alex Song, the likes of Samuel Eto'o. They still have, as much as they are not what they once were, they are still a good side. And there's a reason they got to the semi-finals of their home tournament in 2021. So in 2022 actually. So we can't actually write them off. Yeah, they got to the semis.
The final was Egypt and Senegal.
The final was Egypt and Senegal. Yeah. So that means they still have, even if they're not at their best, they're still a premier nation.
They've got the aura.
Exactly. They still got the aura and they can, exactly.
So the game that we played them in Uganda, we drew 0-0 with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Should have won
that is a game we should have won. Because had we won that game, right now we'd be on 6 points, which would have given us more leverage. And they'd be on
5.
They'd be on 5 points. Because the reality is playing playing Cameroon back to back, as much as, yes, we are a small nation, we are up against it, and we always optimistic.
I mean, tuliachilia pia sana game ya Cameroon.
Kwanza tuliachilia.
Exactly. That was too much, I mean.
At least the second game.
And on the right side, hapo ndo kila kitu
we lost with a fight. That you can say we lost with a fight.
Well,
but I also blame for the first leg. I also blame, and we were talking about it off camera, I also blame Engine Firat for mixing things up. Because Firat is the type of manager who will tell you that, and even said it recently, we have to be a team because we don't have a lot of star names. Yeah. We don't have a lot of star names. We have to be a team that basically has to play together for a long time. You want your best players available. And then against Namibia, when you have Joseph Okumu available, you have Johnston Umuro available, you decide to bring in Sylvester Wino, who by the way didn't make this squad, by the way, and then you play Daniel Anyembe back at centre back, and then you return Patrick Matasi in the starting lineup. He mixed things up when he had players available, and that you have to point the fingers at him and ask him.
He gambled.
Why did you gamble with the squad when you're saying you need to be a team that plays together for a long time and develop a chemistry, and you have your best players available, but then you opt to start the kind of players? It didn't actually make sense to me, and it is no coincidence that we lost, because we were a team that were incoherent. We most of the players hadn't played together before, and you're expecting a result away in Yaoundé. Of course, it was never going to happen.
What do you feel about Firat now? Because ideally, the World Cup is a long shot. I mean, we've Ivory Coast who are top of the group.
Yeah, exactly.
And we lost, I think, to Gabon or someone. And then
we lost to Gabon, yes.
We beat Seychelles.
We beat Seychelles. Yeah, exactly.
Burundi, I think.
Burundi, we drew that game.
But now, AFcOn, now, we may qualify this week or we may not.
We may not, yeah.
If we don't qualify now, what do you make of him?
I will judge him based off what he said. Look, I'm sorry, he can come and say that we are journalists, we can talk how we want, but the reality is we actually attended that press conference before we played Gabon and Seychelles, and he actually said, and I quote him saying, this is a game that the AFcON 2025 is a tournament we have to qualify for, and not only qualify, make it out of the group stages into the round of 16, because it will give them confidence before the home tournament in 2027. Exactly.
I think
so we will judge you by those words.
Tulikuwa pale nini?
Tulikuwa pale nitoaje hii hoteli. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that is what you said. So tutakujudge na hizo maneno ulisema. So if you don't deliver, questions have to be asked surely, because even a lot of former coaches and former players, including the likes of Alan Wanga, are asking, why is the accountability here? You've been given so much time to build a squad since 2023, and still by now you're still not producing consistent enough results.
So this week, if we don't qualify for AFcON, does he stay or does he leave? Because we still have the World Cup qualifiers that I think continue in March. That is the next international break. And then from there, so if we miss this AFcON, we've got the next AFcON at home, which we have to host. Obviously, we have to be there. We've qualified already. And in between then and now, there is the World Cup qualifiers. Like I said, World Cup is a long shot, but now we have to judge him depending on this AFcON.
Exactly.
Do we go to the home tournament now in 2027 now with Firat, who has not led us?
No. I don't
AFcON?
think we can go on with Firat, because if you can't deliver on what you said you wanted the team to deliver, that means that was your target from the onset. Then we have to judge you accordingly, because 2027 is still far away. 2027 is literally is it 3 years away?
The whole cycle is 3 years.
Yeah, it's 2.5 years now,
It's
because
one AFcON and then there's a World Cup.
exactly, because you never know, it could even be pushed to
Yeah, like
2028
3 or 4
January.
chance,
Exactly,
3 chance or
because
something.
exactly it could even be pushed to 2028. That is still a long time. I think that is enough time for another coach with fresh ideas to come in and say, this is how we're going
Start
to
a new
play.
project.
And this is how we're going to. The good thing is, most of our players are around the emerging years. They're in their 20. The average age, I looked at it, is around 25 years right now, 24, 25. That means by 2027, they should be peaking at 28, 29.
It will also be interesting to see what happens because we've got the FKF elections coming up
Exactly,
in
and it's
December.
also very interesting, because should a new president come in, which I think
May.
is likely improbable based on
I mean, Nick has said he's not going to vice, so
Yeah, exactly.
the new president could be Doris, or could be Hussein, could be Barry, or could be someone
or
else.
whoever it is, exactly.
And if Doris comes, she may decide to do something different.
But
or Barry,
but let's be honest. Yes, I know it's Doris who will be the president.
you do. You don't
Okay, no, I'm saying she'll. I'm not saying she
You
will.
say, yes, I know it's
I'm
Doris.
saying. I'm saying. Okay, let me correct that. Should Doris come in, Nick is his.
Nick is coming back as the deputy president.
He's coming back as deputy president. Yes, on paper, Doris will be the president,
Well, you
but
cannot
we
say
all
that.
know who will
No,
be
we
running
don't.
things
Me, I
behind the
don't. No,
scenes.
me, I don't. Me, I know if Doris gets elected, she'll be running the federation. If Barry gets elected, he will be running
He
the
will be
federation.
running the federation.
But now you see, if, let's say, big chances now, Barry and Doris have been in the office for all those years.
Exactly.
And they've been in Firat. So there's a high chance that they have been working together, obviously, and they will
Exactly.
continue.
Yeah, they'll continue.
Maybe if Hussein comes in, or let's say Kempes,
Yeah,
or the
he'll
guy from
come in with someone
Samoa
different.
Chola.
Maybe he'll come in with someone different. But then again, even if he comes with someone different, the players are still the same.
Yeah.
The new president won't wave a magic wand or give the new coach a magic wand and, let's come up with new players. These are still the same players. So at the end of the day, elections is a story for another day, I think. I hope we'll discuss it some other time.
Of course.
But for now, these are still the same players. And you have to remember there are some players from the under-20 who qualified for under-20 AFcON for the first time in the likes of Kibet, the likes of Wanzala, who's already part of the squad. So I'm guessing maybe around 3 or 4 players from that group will be good enough to contend for a slot in 2027, because we are qualifying by virtue of being hosts. So
If we do host, actually.
if we
don't
host,
host,
if we
don't
do,
host.
exactly,
Yeah.
it's
So,
over.
as we speak about these local players and players who are playing for Harambee Stars, so Benson Omala, like we know, is currently not playing for a club because he was meant to go to Lebanon, and the league was suspended there
That
because
was
of the situation,
a
security
torrid
situation
decision
there.
he made, by the
And now
way.
he cannot come back to Gor Mahia because the transfer window is not open yet, and he's not been called to the Harambee Stars in the last 2
Exactly.
tournaments. Now, what happens to him now? He's not training with a team, professional team. He's not playing league matches, and now Harambee Stars cannot call him. However, Firat has been calling some players who have not been playing for clubs.
Who have not been playing for clubs. I actually think Omala sabotaged himself by moving to Lebanon.
I think so.
Because, in my opinion, because Lebanon is a country that is unstable right now because of the civil war that is going on there and stuff like that, the security situation. So why would you decide to go to Lebanon? Oh, yes, I know you want to.
He really
search
wanted
for-
to move, and his father also, he had issues with the agents. Now I think he has
the
got a new
agent,
agent
exactly.
who is running things well now
is-
professionally. The new agent, I think, is a lawyer. He's a lawyer.
he's a lawyer,
He's a
exactly.
FIFA agent, so
I
things
know.
are now working well.
Yeah, things are now working well. I think we know him. I think the agent is possibly a mutual friend. But I think he has until January. If he gets a new club in January, I think from there now it's going to be a more
You know, it's
streamlined
disturbing him
process for
mentally. When I look at
exactly.
his Instagram stories, he doesn't look like he doesn't look relaxed, doesn't look happy, he doesn't look good with life, to be honest. Well,
but
I'm
he
not that
still
good
has a chance. But he still has a chance to. Should he get a club in January? He still has a chance to. He'll have like 3 months under his belt of playing time and get.
Yeah, but you see, strikers are quite happy when they score goals. Now imagine when they don't play.
When they don't.
So we really wish.
I think he was just sabotaged in terms of, and it's quite unfortunate. But for me, if you ask me from the outside looking in, from what I understand is that he actually had a deal to actually go to Europe. I think there is even a report that was done by Passion Sports. He actually had a deal by Jeff. He actually had a deal to go to Europe, but then a third party, party came in, and then they arranged for him to move to Lebanon. Why shouldn't he have taken up Europe on their offer? Because I understand it was supposed to be Sweden. He was supposed to go back to Sweden. He was there in 2022, but then now, why shouldn't he have gone back to Sweden? Because Sweden is actually, if you actually think about it, it's actually the best route for Kenyan players to eventually settle in Europe. We've seen even the likes of Wanyama, we've seen his brother Mariga. We are actually seeing even right now Timothy Ouma, who he bid his time, was patient for 2 years at Elfsborg, and right now he's starting week in, week out, playing against the likes of Roma,
in the Europa League.
And right now, all of a sudden, he's being linked with Premier League moves. You get? I feel like his advisors didn't. Lebanon was never good, because even Lebanon, are they even a footballing country? The first time I even heard of Lebanon or that club was because Omalo was going there. To be honest, I didn't know about them. So I believe now that he has a new agent, I think he just has to be patient. You live and you learn. We all make mistakes. We are all human beings. So let's hope that in January, once he gets a club, because I'm sure he'll have good offers, I think it will give him, he'll get rhythm, he'll get confidence back, and he'll be back in the squad.
He comes back to Gor.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe comes back to Gor. You never know.
Play Chan.
Because they don't have a striker right now, and playing Chan, exactly. Because Chan inaweza msaidia sasa kupata another club
at the end of the season.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because he needs to be our key man in 2027 with Olunga.
Yeah, exactly. He should be, to be fair. But to be honest, I think there are also other strikers that are coming through that I actually also think are decent. Yeah. I actually think Francis Kahiro, who made his debut for Chan, I think I actually like him as a striker. If you actually follow up on his story, this is a striker that has come from far. He actually started as a kitman at FC Talanta before he eventually got his chance.
Wacha nifanye kazi.
And then from FC Talanta, he moves to KCB, starts slowly, but then picks up momentum. And you can see right now, I think he's the top scorer in the league right now. Yeah. And he's actually good at bringing other players into the game, has work rate and things like that. So there are quite a number of strikers that are coming through that I also think could give, could complement Olunga or even give him a run for his money. So yeah, exactly. And even Lawrence Okoth of the under-20s right now. Yes, he's still raw in some aspects, but you assume within 2 or 3 years of more game time at the highest level, should actually come into the side and offer something different. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is it. Now I think we can do the predictions now for the AFcON qualifiers, and then we can call it a day for now. Exactly. So we do check on Zimbabwe on Friday at 7 p.m. We have to win that game to go through. To stand a chance, actually.
Yeah, exactly. To stand a chance, not to qualify, to stand a chance.
And then on Tuesday, now we do check on Namibia. If we win those 2 games and Zim don't beat Cameroon on Tuesday, we go to Morocco 2025 over the Christmas period. So give me prediction yako ya Zim. I think it's all the same like mine.
I'm always going to be optimistic. Lazima nchi mbele bana, nchi mbele. So me being a biased Kenyan, of course, loving your country, of course you want to back your country. So I actually think Kenya will actually beat Zimbabwe by 2-1. I
also think we have to win this game. I think 2-1 for us because the players know that it's now or never. We have to go to AFcON. Or it has to be, at least we have to do our job. So 2-1 for me. Namibia Pia on Tuesday?
Namibia on Tuesday, I think Kenya...
Namibia washed. I think they're done.
Yeah, Namibia washed. So those ones we beat them by maybe 2 goals to 0.
So you beat them last time.
Yeah, we tuliwapiga 2-1. Now of which yo bao walifunga last minute ni free kick tena. So, but what I have to say, just make sure Kenya avoid conceding free kicks and fouls and corner kicks in dangerous situations, because that is where I think we're going to get found out. But these are two teams that will sit back and try and hit us on the break. So we have to make sure that squad that played, that lineup that played, I think is strong enough to get results under the right conditions and circumstances.
Thanks a lot, Mark. That's it now.
Yeah, exactly.
From Through Pass this week, we're talking about Harambee Stars. We have to win our games to go to Morocco next year. I'm back again next week now with more sports conversations. Remember, we still have the FKF elections coming up. Harambee Stars KPL is back in a few days. There's a lot happening as far as our football is concerned. Goodbye and see you soon.
Adios.